Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And this is take 2 of Watching My Stories.
Technical issue.
Yeah, we're having technical issues. As per usual.
Yeah. When don't we?
Yeah. So we've been gone, I think, a month, and I still don't have a lot to talk about. Well, that's not true. I haven't watched a lot of movies. I've got a lot of shows to talk about.
Okay.
So we're going to do that. And John has just informed me that we have no John's joke corner today.
Yeah. I failed miserably.
So
I knew this
sorry, everybody.
I knew this thing was coming all day, and I fell down.
Yeah. So that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is it?
I think that's what people tuned in for.
Oh. Well, shucks.
So,
I'm sorry, people. I'll have 2 next time.
You had one though the other day. You said.
Yeah, but
No, I don't remember what it was.
It was a good one too.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, it was non-controversial and it was funny and yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, in the actors' corner at the end of the session, we are going to be discussing Kevin Bacon and the 6 degrees of the Bacons.
Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, are we ready?
I guess so.
All right. We're going to jump in with the movies.
Okay.
The first movie I'm going to talk about is The Tender Bar. I'm sure a lot of people have heard about this because George Clooney directed it, and it stars Ben Affleck. And
that one.
Yeah. So I think this was a book. Yeah, it was a book because this is a true story. Doy. I don't have much to say about it. So this is on Amazon. I don't even know. I'm so sorry.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, I think it's on Amazon Prime. You know, like Ben Affleck was good in it. He's fine. The story was fine. George Clooney did a fine job, but we've seen this story a million times. We've seen the boy's story of, coming of age and the adults that influenced him in those times. And usually it's with the absence of one parent. And so who else stepped up and blah, blah, blah. And we've seen this a million times over. When it comes to white dudes, basically, we've seen this story a million times. And I was telling you that, and I thought, meanwhile, all the female stories are just covered in trauma and all sorts of stuff. And I thought, why don't we have our own movies? Enter Encanto.
There you go.
If you know, you know. And as a female, you know that Encanto is now our story of trauma and generational trauma. And we can all just revel in that movie. And if we still need to keep watching white dudes and their coming of age stories, well, you can go watch The Tender Bar, but I'm a little over it. It's just boring and don't need to keep watching that.
If a coming of age movie is a young person coming up, is like a movie where an old person dies at the end, is that a going of age? I'm just asking.
I don't know.
I'm asking for a friend.
I don't know.
Because it's interesting how we use the term coming of age. And everybody just
right, and what
knows
is the age that you're trying to even come to?
Well, I guess it gets a little murky
18?
after that, but coming of age is like when a kid first starts to figure things out.
Yeah, I don't know. So
sorry, I think
moving on.
Got hung up on the wrong thing.
The next movie I'm going to talk about is a Netflix movie. It's called Brazen, and this starred Alyssa Milano. And this is a very Lifetime. Netflix has been getting into these Lifetime movies, but it was one of those that I was like, yeah, I'm in that mood. I just want to watch a throwaway thing. It was good. It was a good enough Lifetime Netflix movie, Sunday afternoon. And so it's a thriller. It's one of those thrillers. She writes novels all about kind of police crime and true crime and all that sort of stuff. She reconnects with a sister that she had lost touch with because her sister had all these issues, and her sister ends up murdered. And her next door neighbor, who happens to be a detective, they investigate the whole murder and what happened and all that stuff, and putting herself in jeopardy and all the normal things. I think this could be a series. You know, she writes these books. It could be a series of this character who continues to either work with this detective or in other areas and solve these crimes. And, you know, no big deal. It was fun to watch Alyssa Milano again. What am I going to say? It's nothing spectacular, but if you like those sorts of movies and you're looking for that kind of just brainless thing to have on the TV, go for it.
Yeah, I believe, you know, listening to your review of The Tender Bar, I believe the proper technical term is meh.
Are you going back to The Tender Bar after
No.
I just spent all this time?
No, it sounded like you felt the same way about this. It was very middle of the road, very
This
meh.
one's better.
Oh.
Yeah. Because people, if you know if you like these kind of movies. And so if you like these kind of movies, then you know you're going to watch it.
Right.
And it's just a matter of finding that right time where you maybe don't have to pay entire attention to it, but then, you know, you have it on and all that. So it's more than meh if you like those kind of movies.
So if you're a fan of the Lifetime movies, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that's it for movies. I just
What?
have not seen or watched any movies. We're going to get to ones that I've watched with you later.
Okay.
That's going to kind of become its own segment, I think, at some point. So
Johnny playing ketchup or something
yeah,
like that?
that's exactly. I was thinking ketchup was in there. So
okay.
you do like ketchup.
Ketchup. I just had some ketchup.
Oh, I know. So in case everyone, if you think we sound any different or if this has a different energy, we normally do this on Sunday mornings. And this morning we had other stuff that we had to get done. So we decided to do this Sunday evening. So we just ate.
We pumped ourselves
full of
$40 worth of Five Guys, and now we're doing a podcast.
And now we're doing a podcast. And so, you know, I'm trying to make sure that John stays awake, which is going to be really tough. And I think we're both a little like, Sunday night, you know, blah. Plus our electricity is going to go off in a couple hours. So we've got a lot of kind of things going on
purpose. It's not like we haven't paid the bills or something.
Yeah, in Southern California, for whatever reason, they do this a few times a year. I don't know if they're doing repairs. I don't know if it's...
Yeah, I think they're replacing a transformer or something.
So it happens, and we're in a part of a country where we can actually do that, while the other half is in a blizzard, and we're very sorry for all of you that are stuck in that blizzard. Yeah. All right, so we're going to move on to television shows.
Okay.
Got quite a bunch to talk about here. The first being Yellowjackets. This was a series on Showtime. This was the first season. It is coming back for a second season. Thank goodness. The adults in this show are Melanie Linsky, who I love, Christina Ricci, parentheses, Bettina Ricci, and who else? Juliette Lewis. There's a few others in there that people would recognize. And then, so the premise of this is that in 90, I think it's like 95 or 96, there's a high school soccer team that was going to the national championship game on a private flight. The flight goes down in the middle of the woods, and this soccer team of high school girls plus their coach and a couple of other dudes are stuck in the middle of nowhere. And that's kind of it. So we flash back to the younger girls and what's going on. And we to then today and these adults and what's kind of happening. And it's this huge mystery. They were stuck in the woods for 9 months, these teenage girls. And we are only seeing 4 adults at this point, and there's yet a whole soccer team. So it's like, how many of them died? What did they die of? We're given little snippets that there's some weirdness going on, that there's... I'm honestly, after the entire season, I'm still not entirely sure. There seems to be some kind of... There's just weirdness. Plus, there's also personalities in here that are a little psycho, and grow up to continue to be psychos. Wow. So it's very, very interesting. It's kind of how they are dealing as adults, which they are not. They have a lot of stuff going on, and what these girls had to do to survive, if they survived in the woods. And there's some paranormal stuff going on. There's just a lot of weird stuff. Yeah. And it is interesting as heck. And I loved every second of it. I wish there was twice as many episodes. and I am so psyched for a second season. It's just a great cast. All the younger girls are also all good. I've seen most of them I've seen in other shows. So it's just, really, really cool. My only thing was that it left us still at the end of the season without telling us a whole lot. And that kind of annoys me. I feel like it could have been a longer season and maybe answered some questions or something like that. So, I don't like having so many open questions at the end of a season.
Sure.
But other than that, everything was great. So I'm sure it's still on demand on Showtime. Definitely worth checking out. That's Yellowjackets.
Okay.
Because that was the name of their soccer team.
I gathered.
Yes. Ow. I just really hurt my arm.
Oh, no.
Next show we're going to talk about is one of our favorites, the 3rd season of Afterlife.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So,
was I supposed to talk about it? Oh,
it's
okay.
fine. I'll keep going.
Sorry.
If you've listened to us at all this whole time, you'll know that Afterlife is one of our favorite shows. 1st season, 2nd season, absolutely perfect. We rewatched the 1st and 2nd season before this 3rd season came out, so we were fresh on it. And this is the 3rd and final season. The show is over, which is okay with me.
Yeah,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
So why don't you give your opinion?
Discuss.
Let me just give a small synopsis. Ricky Gervais plays Tony. His wife had died a year before. We come in and he's angry at the world, of course. He's suicidal, but he decides to stay alive for his dog. In the beginning, he's very much just a jerk, says he can be a jerk to anyone and it doesn't matter. And through the series, we start to see him kind of rethink humanity, rethink people's place in the world, place in their community. And dealing with depression and deep sorrow and sadness and mourning.
Right.
And so the first 2 seasons were very, very much about that. So what did you think of the 3rd season?
Well, and by the end of the 2nd season, he had made a very conscious decision to stick around. So you felt like he was out of the woods because the 1st season, you were just on constant edge about, is he really going to pull the plug or, is he really going to off himself? So let's see, the 3rd season. I had apprehensions because the first 2 were so fantastic. My favorite show on television, probably. And it was okay. It's good. There were several factors that I believe made it not as good as the first 2 seasons.
Correct.
Thank you. I didn't realize I was being tested, but good to know I'm passing so far. So there were a couple key characters, at least in my book, that were not in on the 3rd season. Sandy, a woman who started interning, working at the paper and kind of under Tony's wing,
right,
was not around.
Yeah, and that's because I just saw she's on an American show. So that must have been why. And she, to me, her relationship with Tony was such a lovely one that I missed that tremendously.
Yeah.
As well as
Roxy.
Yeah. The prostitute that Tony had made friends with.
Sex worker.
Yes. I loved that relationship too.
Yeah.
And so I while I understand that they obviously didn't have people under contract and so they went and got other jobs, that it was a huge hole to me to have both of them gone.
It was because they had to fill those holes with something,
and they filled them with horrible characters.
And what they chose to fill it with was some of my least favorite people on the show.
Yes.
So it was a lot of people I didn't really care for. And I found myself really, that just made me miss Sandy and Roxy even more.
Exactly. Yeah. So they ended up filling most of the time with Brian and what was the kid's James. And honestly, it was like every time those two came on the screen, I just picked up my phone and started going online. I did not like that at all.
Yeah.
I felt like it didn't do anything for anyone's story because neither one of those really those characters changed at all. And it didn't make any sense. And that was just a problem. That was just a problem.
Instead of giving us our fill of the good relationships that we've all become reliant on in that show, they basically took second tier relationships, people that were kind of in each episode, a couple times, and really had to develop them. And it ended up being, it was kind of confusing because all of a sudden, here's backstory in the final, 2 or 3 episodes. And while that's interesting, I guess, for some people, that just those characters I didn't care enough about to make it worth it.
Right. And I even felt that way even with Kath. Like, as much as I appreciated her story a little bit, and the ending we saw of hers where she was getting the dog and all that,
Mm-hmm.
it still was so forced upon us because in the first couple episodes, she was just there. And while she didn't deserve kind of the vitriol that was spewed at her at times, he made up for that. And so that was good enough. Like, there should have been more with the brother-in-law. There should have been more with even Lenny, more with on the bench. It was just it felt very thrown together.
What is her name? The actress, the woman on the bench. I know you have your
from Downton Abbey.
Yeah, Mrs. Crawley.
Mrs. Crawley.
Because I could. They could have had a
Penelope
show.
Wilton.
Yeah, they could have had a show with just the two of them on that bench.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would have tuned in, and that would have been my favorite show. I mean, that relationship actually turned into one of my favorite television relationships.
Right.
And it's not any big thing, and it wasn't a lot of any one episode.
That's where he got all of his humanity from.
Well,
was all from her.
It was kind of like, the world starts getting him down. He starts thinking bad thoughts. He goes and sits on the bench and gets a recharge.
Right.
In a couple minutes.
Right.
And it was just the one of the best parts of that show.
Yeah.
It really was.
I still like the way it came out. I like the way that he still and I guess we should have said spoilers because we're talking about all this, but the way that he did help his community, the way that he did help everyone around him, and that he learned that was what was important, even if he was so miserable with himself, that he could fake it, I guess, enough to get by outside of his home. It's a lovely story. I think, to me, I felt like the ending was interpretive.
So I was going to ask you about that.
I felt like the dog died, and so he died.
Okay.
I don't think he lived to an old age.
Yeah.
I think he really did.
Once once she was gone.
Yeah.
Okay.
What did you think?
Well, I mean, it's certainly open to interpretation. And it was one of those, the final episode, the final scene is one of those that if you're a fan of the show, you're going to have feelings about either way, no matter which way you go with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out exactly what that meant to me, because I understand what you're saying, that as soon as the dog left, he left. But also at the same time, how long, right? Because it wasn't to me exactly like, okay, once a dog passed away, he killed himself.
I don't know, but there's no way of knowing that. That's so.
It's kind of what you want to believe.
That's exactly right
for his character.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
So it's hard because I do feel like the third season was definitely, it fell short compared to the first and second season. The first season I would hold up as a perfect season of television.
100%.
So, it's hard, but I would still recommend this to anyone to go watch. I do think it's harder to get through those scenes in the third season with the characters that we don't like. But, either fast forward through it or whatever, because honestly, you're not missing anything.
We're just here to tell you to level set your expectations.
Right.
Down a notch or two from the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's still good. Look, I'm not disappointed.
I was still a mess, too, all the time. I mean, you laugh, and then you're bawling, and then you're laughing again. And
every episode.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way that's the nature of the show.
Yep.
He's just such a brilliant writer and a brilliant director.
And performer.
And performer. I mean, honestly, I don't know that I can picture anybody else in that role.
Right.
So kudos to Ricky Gervais.
For sure.
And if I ever met him and he asked my honest opinion, I'd say, look, season 3, you did what you could with what you had.
Mm-hmm.
But the overall show, one of my favorites of all time.
Good.
Just is, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
So that's on Netflix. All 3 seasons are up. So definitely check it out. We definitely recommend it.
Too late to say spoiler.
I'm
Bless
so
you.
sorry that it was very fast.
I don't know.
And I don't edit, so you're gonna have to listen to me sneeze. So sorry.
You get the whole Megillah.
Yeah. All right. So the next series we're going to talk about is one that I watched and you finally finished, and that is Girls5eva.
Oh yeah.
So we talked about this show months ago when it came out, and I watched it. It's on Peacock, starring Sarah Bareilles, Renee Goldsberry. Who else is in there? Busy Phillips. And Paula Pell. My heart.
Yeah.
My heart and soul, Paula Pell.
Your spirit animal.
I love her so much. So what were your thoughts?
Oh man. Okay. So for what it was, kind of I'm not going to say a farce, but
it's a comedy.
It's a comedy.
It's a true comedy. Yeah.
Okay. I enjoyed it. I really did. I love Paula Pell. I always have and always will. She's just a brilliant writer.
Again, her delivery
is her delivery on some of the most insane lines is perfect. I hadn't really. I know you're a fan of Busy Phillips, and especially on a personal level. I have only seen her in what's that show? The one
Cougar Town.
Cougar Town, yeah. And I didn't really care for her on that. But this was better. I liked her. I like her as a person, and I've that's developed since Cougar Town, so I like this more.
Okay.
And I've always had a thing for Sarah Bareilles, so
yeah.
it just is what it is. It was good. It was clever. The writing. So whoever writes this show, I know it's Tina Fey, and
no, Tina Fey produces. It's the same person that does Kimmy Schmidt. And now I'm blanking on her name. But Tina Fey produces.
Okay.
And was in this as Dolly Parton.
Yeah, that's right. Forgot about that. Look, it's a very well written show, and it's very well delivered by.
And the music's great.
And the music is good.
All Tina Fey's
so
husband.
Catchy.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so catchy.
Yes, it is, and it's hysterical.
It's ridiculous because those songs don't really exist, but you feel like you could have heard them. So,
yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was good.
So will you watch the second season?
Yeah, I will. Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And they're filming it now, so hopefully in the summer it'll come out.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very excited.
I
loved it. Again, you can't go wrong with those 4. They all have great voices. Of course, Renee's just amazing, and but she's so funny. Wiki as a character is hysterical. I mean, they're all so funny,
right?
And yeah. So it's a good comedy. Like it really is a good comedy
really
when you have to keep track and listen to those lines, and that's the kind of stuff I love, where it goes by so fast that you cannot keep up, and so it's just
I bet you I say 5 or 6 times every episode.
I gotta remember that.
I should write that down.
Yeah.
I really need to write that down because they're good.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you haven't watched Girls5eva, definitely recommend it on Peacock. The first season I think was only 8 episodes, so check it out. And I of course downloaded all the music too. I love it.
Sure.
So,
I don't blame you. It's good music.
Yeah. All right. Next series I'm going to talk about is very quickly the reality show. I had spoken about the New York Real World reunion, so I felt like I had to talk about the Los Angeles Real World reunion. It was funny watching this because I realized how much I didn't like anyone that was on Los Angeles Real World back then, and how little I really remembered of all of them because of all that. But it was interesting. This is the one where the comedian David came on and he got kicked off halfway through because he had pulled the bedding off of another castmates, and so they kicked him out of the house. That was like it was the second season, but it was amazing that they kicked someone out of the house and all that. Anyway, he came back. Everyone came back. There was a lot of arguing still this many years later, and a lot of turmoil, and yet at the end it felt a little bit better. But this one was definitely not the heart feels like the New York group gave us. This group definitely did not get together then or get along then, and they don't seem to really get along a lot now. So if you were a fan of Real World and you haven't watched either of these reunions, I would definitely check out New York. They're lovely, and that was really wonderful to watch. This one just didn't make you feel good to watch it. San Francisco technically was the next cast, and that's where Pedro was on, and obviously he died a few years after the show aired. But I loved the San Francisco cast. I would love for all of them to come back, and especially to have, Pedro's memory and talk about him and the impact he had and all of that. So we'll see if they do a San Francisco one, if there's enough people willing to do it. That was the other thing in the LA one. I think 3 of the castmates didn't come back. They just, so it was interesting. Anyway, moving on. Oh, and that's on, I don't even remember, HBO Max maybe?
Oh, really?
No, Paramount Plus. It's on
Okay.
Paramount Plus.
Okay.
So both reunions are on Paramount Plus.
Interesting.
All right. Next series I'm going to talk about just came out on Netflix this weekend, and it's called The Woman Across the Street from the House with the Girl in the Window.
Yep.
This stars Kristen Bell, and she wanted the long title, so she got it. This only has 8 episodes. They're half-hour episodes. I literally watched it all on Friday. This is a satire, kind of all of the, Girl in the Window, Gone Girl, The Girl on the Train, all the movies that I love, and all those things. But they figured out how to make it funny and satirical, but also a really good mystery that then came out in a really kind of funny way, and that's probably too big a spoiler. Really, the mystery and the twist was huge. Like, didn't see it coming.
Oh, good.
Really well done, and it kept me guessing the whole time. Like, cause I the whole time running, I'm like, it's still him. It's still him. I know it's still him. And the different people would come and go as suspects and stuff, and I was like, see, it's still him. It's still him. Kristen Bell was so great. It was just well crafted as far as, like The Girl on the Train with which was all these were books, and whatever. But what's her name?
Rooney Mara?
Emily Blunt.
Oh.
Thank you. And Emily Blunt is just like this raging alcoholic. And so like Kristen Bell, all she's doing is drinking bottle of wine after bottle of wine. She's filling the glass up to the top. And it's like, if you've seen these, you see little things from all of these movies in it. But then it also takes it to a very insane place sometimes. But so anyway, I loved it. It's an easy watch. I will pretty much watch anything Kristen Bell does, but that really doesn't matter in this case. It's just well crafted. And if you don't know that it's supposed to be funny in places, maybe you think it's a little far-fetched, but if you go into it knowing that this is kind of how it's supposed to be, then you can just kind of ride it, laugh when you're supposed to laugh, but also try and figure out this mystery that's happening.
Right.
So
cool. Anyway,
that is The Woman Across the Street from the House with the Girl in the Window on Netflix.
Yep.
Yes. The next series I'm going to talk about, I finally finished today, and that is called As We See It. This is on Amazon Prime. This has Rick Glassman in it, who he was on Undateable, which was one of our favorite shows. Gosh, so long ago. This is executive produced by Jason Katims, I think is how his name's pronounced. He did Parenthood. He did the show Parenthood.
Oh, okay.
And so this has that same kind of feels with it. And also Kevin Bacon's daughter, Sosie, is on this. And so that's kind of where I got the Kevin Bacon thing to do for Actors Corner.
Gotcha.
Yes. So as we see it is a story of 3 autistic people in their mid-20s. Their families have finally put them in an apartment together, and Sosie Bacon plays their aide, Mandy. And so she comes every day to check on them. There's certain things they're supposed to be doing, either getting a job or just leaving the house or making friends. And she has, rules of how to be social or learn how to try and deal with the world around them. So this was 8 episodes. I think each episode was probably, 45, 55 minutes, something like that. So as we revealed on the last podcast, I am autistic. And so this was very interesting to watch. All 3 of the main actors, Rick Glassman included, they're all on the spectrum in real life. And there was actually a lot of neurodivergent actors in the rest of the cast. And it was great. I really enjoyed this because it shows how different every autistic person is. I saw Rick Glassman on a interview, and he was quoting this doctor who said, if you've met one person with autism, then you've met one person with autism.
Yeah.
And that's how basically we're supposed to be like fingerprints, not anyone is alike.
Right.
And so this shows very different perspectives from these 3 people, as well as it shows how difficult the world is to be a part of. If you have sensory issues to noise, if you have communication issues, if you just have a hard time understanding people and their moods and their tones of voice and all of that. And the running theme through it that I'll try and get through without crying is the word normal, and how all 3 of them consistently express wanting to be normal or wanting to look normal or wanting to act normal. And I think this kind of show can show, 1, there is no normal, and 2, that we don't have to do that, and that the world doesn't have to try and make us that. Things like that.
Yeah, it shouldn't try. People do, but they shouldn't.
Right. So anyway, it's a really good show. I hope there's a second season because there's so much story to still tell. But I also hope that people watch this and start to get a better idea, because I think a lot of people still think Rain Man, or they think, people who are nonverbal, and right. That's true, but that's why it's a spectrum.
Right.
And there's a lot of different, whatever on the spectrum.
I hope it changes the conversation.
Yeah.
In that it's, exactly what you talk about, you say autism to somebody who's not very aware or understanding of what it is, and they think of the Rain Man or the nonverbal, or the person is just sitting there swaying back and forth and grunting and whatever. And I will guarantee that most people during a normal week, well, previously and before the pandemic,
right.
before a normal week, came in contact with many people on the spectrum,
right.
and didn't realize it.
Right.
It can be very, very subtle. And unless you know somebody very well, people's ability to mask things is very strong.
Right.
And until you get to know the person under the mask, a lot of times people aren't what they,
right.
Everybody puts on a facade to some degree.
And you just think that people are being rude, or you think that people are, just not wanting to hear you, or whatever it is.
Right.
Remember that there could be an actual communication issue. I mean, just this morning you and I were having a discussion, and I wasn't understanding your tone, and you were getting very frustrated with that. And it's difficult to read people. And so know that if the cashier or something is staring at you blankly, it's not them being an idiot or being rude. You never know. You just never know.
I mean, I've known this about you for a long time now, and I think we do pretty well.
Yes, but it can still be frustrating.
And like this morning, it can still be frustrating, and I'm, I pride myself on being really good with it.
Yes.
So, exactly what you say. Cut people some slack, because you just
never
don't know what they're dealing with. And that coping mechanism or the facade that people on the spectrum put up, that's a survival instinct.
Yes.
That's a true coping mechanism. Some people put on a facade because they just want to seem more important than they are or whatever.
Right.
People on the spectrum, a lot of times, that facade is just their way to get through the day.
Right. And it's exhausting.
To get through
so
that.
It'd be nice if we didn't have to.
Exactly. Exactly. And I long for a world, my hope is at some point in time, you don't have to.
Yeah.
That everybody can literally be free to be themselves.
Yes. Thank you.
That remains my hope.
Thank you. And I want you to see this. I was supposed to wait for you to watch this with you.
You were.
And I am sorry.
No, it's okay.
You just don't have as much time, and so I knew I wanted to watch it. And
I told you to go for it.
I'll rewatch it with you, though.
Yeah, it'll be one of those things that I catch up on
Yeah.
before too much longer, and it'll be good. It'll give us lots of stuff to talk about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that is As We See It.
I love
and
you.
I love you. Thank you. It is not heavy. It can feel heavy at times. It can feel very emotional at times, but it also can be light. So it's all of that. Like if you watch Parenthood, it has that feeling where it's real.
Mm-hmm.
So it feels like life, where there's moments of lightness and there's moments it's a little bit more heavy and you got to deal with something or whatever. So
right.
Yeah. So I don't want to make it sound like it's a bummer or that it's this whole thing. So definitely check it out. 8 episodes, As We See It, on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And then the last series I'm going to talk about, I finally finished again today, is called With Love. This is also on Amazon Prime. It's weird because when this came out, I started it like that weekend, which was probably a couple months ago, and I kind of kept going back to it every once in a while and like would watch another episode or something. And finally I realized I'm really liking this. Why am I not like finishing it right off the bat?
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of follows this family, the Diaz family, it starts like at Christmas and it goes through the next Dia de los Muertos. And it kind of hits all the holidays, and it's a rom-com / kind of love story of the younger generation looking for love. It deals with their parents and kind of how their marriage is doing and some bumps that they go through. Mm-hmm. It hits a bunch of different pockets of things. It centers around this family that's very strong and very close, which is also kind of cool. The lead girl is Emerald Tobin. I'm sure I'm saying all of that wrong, and I'm so sorry. I guess she was on that show Shadow Hunters or Shadow Walkers or whatever. I don't know. I had never seen her. I loved her. She is so adorable. She's so good. I really liked her. Also, the kid from Ugly Betty was in this. Mark Indelicanto. Vincent Rodriguez from My Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. He's in this.
Okay.
So there's like you recognize a lot of people. Constance Marie is in this. Like you'll recognize a lot of people. And it was just this really cool story of like mainly following her, the main girl Lily, and like when we come in, she had just broken up with someone and she's looking and she kind of bumps into this guy, of course, a couple times throughout the year. And then, is it going to happen that her brother is in this relationship and, it's just, it's very rom-com-y, but then it's also very just love story. And like, once they fall in love, what's going to happen, as well as, like I said, the parents then go through this whole thing. But I like the way like each episode is on a different holiday, which is kind of cool. So we just kind of skip through this year but get through the holidays type thing. So I really liked it. This was really enjoyable. There's only 5 episodes, very kind of just this small little thing.
Wow.
And it's set in Portland, which is also kind of cool. It just has this different vibe. Yeah, so I would definitely check this out. It's called With Love on Amazon Prime. A very feel-goody, you come out of it very happy, very feel-good, really what we all need to be feeling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially since Ted Lasso isn't on right now.
Exactly. Yes. So definitely check that out, With Love on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So then we had told you guys that we had decided to start watching movies every Friday and Saturday. And the last time we spoke, I think we had talked about the Cameron Crowe movies that we had watched. We haven't really been keeping this up because there have been shows that we've been wanting to watch. And so we've actually been watching, like this past weekend, what did we, After Party and stuff. So we haven't been watching actual movies, but I still do have a couple here that we did watch that I wanted to just get your opinion on and see, since you're catching up with all these movies.
Okay.
So one night, my choice was The Mitchells versus the Machines.
Yeah.
So if you don't remember my review of this is an animated movie. It's on Netflix. I loved this movie when I watched it. I thought it was so different. And I knew you were going to like it. And so the mood I was in that night was definitely this kind of mood.
Yeah.
So what did you think of The Mitchells versus the Machines?
I too loved it. It was fantastic. So well done. So, Pixar and Disney have spoiled us with animation.
Yes.
Right. And this is an animated movie.
This is Sony.
Yeah, and this is animated, but in a different way. It's more cartoony.
It's the same people. It's the same people who did Into the Spider-Verse. So remember how that animation was very different.
Yeah.
And this has that same sort of.
Yeah.
It's hard to explain. You have to see it.
Yeah.
To understand how different it is.
It's a little bit more cartoony, a little bit comic strippy. The visuals.
Yeah.
Right? But having said that, the visuals are fantastic. It's so well done, and and they take little moments throughout the movie to add. I call them Ally McBeal type special effects where
magic moments.
Magic moment, yeah, where the person is thinking of something and all of a sudden there are fireworks. And
or the explosion with the slow mo walking, but it's animated.
Yeah, so it's really it's super clever.
Yes,
it's super clever, and it's very well done. So the story is pretty cool. I'm not going to rehash the whole thing because you reviewed it already, but I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I
don't know that I've seen you laugh that hard in a while.
Oh, I had a scary laugh. I did. Now I remember that. Something struck me.
Yeah,
that the father did. And
I think we had to pause it because you were laughing for so long. I was like, "You're missing what's happening now."
I laughed louder. I had an outburst that I've never had before, and it scared both of us. But then I kept laughing because it was just so funny. What I had seen struck me so funny. But yeah, it made me. It literally made me laugh like no other movie has.
It's full of those moments. It's funny. It is funny. And the characters are different enough, right? Because the point is, I think they call themselves the worst family in the world, saves the planet or whatever.
In the history of the world.
And the younger brother has got his thing. The girl that we're basically following, she's in her world, and this is the world we're watching through. But then the two parents are also hysterical and have all their little things that are going on. And so you end up knowing this family so well that, you're rooting for them. I mean, so what happens is the Mitchells, like someone invents something for the phone, they invent robots, and then the robots take over the world. And so the Mitchells are the only ones left to battle the robots. And it's not just a normal, like you're rooting for this family. You're rooting for this family in so many different ways. And then they end up being so badass that you're just like rooting for them even more.
They are perfectly inadvertently badass.
Yes. The dog is great. And the two robots that they take over is so funny. I mean, it's...
And spoiler alert, Mom is a superhero at the end.
Yes. And it's great. So Danny McBride is the dad. Maya Rudolph is the mom. Alana, what's her name? We just watched her in the After Party. Is the girl. And Olivia Colman is the villain on the phone. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay, I get that now.
Yeah. And this was, I think, it had a Golden Globe nomination for Best Animated. I'm certain it'll have an Oscar nomination for animation.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard. I'd love for it to win, but we've got Encanto, so
Yeah.
but it deserves something. It's so, again, story alone is great. The animation is so amazing. You put them all together, and it's just, I mean, it's something I could watch over and over again.
Oh, yeah. I look forward to watching it again.
Yeah.
And when it comes out on the movie channels, it'll be
I'll be
on
watching
rotation.
it all the time.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you liked it.
Loved it.
Okay.
Loved it.
And then what I think we told you guys is that we're trying to get back in, or we want John to watch the Harry Potter movies. He has watched 5 of them, but we went back and watched the first one and he remembered none of it. So so it's a good thing we're starting from the top again.
Yeah.
I basically spend my weekends watching them all day long, but that's okay.
Please don't ask me any details of it.
You still don't remember what happened?
In the first one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I mean...
But when we were done, you said you liked it.
Oh, I loved it. I loved it.
Okay.
There's no issue there. I love it, and I'm looking forward to the next. I'm looking forward to seeing the whole series.
Even though you've
I
seen
did
more
not
than half of it.
retain much of it, though. I apologize.
That's weird.
I'm sorry.
That's weird.
I got a small processor.
Remember
and
them
I have
playing
to-
chess?
They're what?
Remember the 3-headed dog? Do
Yeah.
you remember? Okay.
Yeah.
And then they played chess?
Oh, yeah. Ron had to guide him through the chessboard. And
Yeah.
That guy unwraps his head.
Yeah.
Or unwraps his scarf, and Voldemort's the
Yeah.
back of his
Spoiler.
head. Oh.
20-year spoiler.
Nah. I'm not going to worry about it. I know I'm the last person to...
Yeah.
Well...
So anyway, I just wanted to get
Yeah,
your
yeah.
take that you liked it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
You're ready to go on.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing the series.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Yeah.
Then that's that.
Oh boy.
So now we're going to talk about Kevin Bacon.
Are you sure we haven't done Kevin Bacon before?
I looked and no. And then when I started going through these, I was like, no, I would remember talking about these things.
Okay. Because some of my favorite movies are in here.
Yeah. Well, this is freaking hard. I mean, I'm sorry. This was really hard for me, and I could have probably had 5 or 6 on each one, and I kept it to 3 because, so it's really hard. I mean,
Kevin Bacon has had himself a career.
That's why there's 6 degrees of him, because he's been in so much and he's done so much.
Yeah, but there was 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon back before he had done a lot of what he has done.
Not really. That was the point, is that he had been in so much already.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Anyway.
I don't think I'm saying it very well, but it was what I was saying.
All right.
Yeah.
Movies you love.
I have 2.
Okay.
A Few Good Men. Uh-oh.
Okay.
What's that look for?
I didn't realize you liked the movie.
I love the movie.
Because I watch it all the time.
I know.
You seem to always complain.
Here's the thing. There are some movies I love, and I can watch them every day. There's some movies I love, and I don't ever need to see them again.
I agree.
And
some of those are on this list.
Like A Few Good Men.
But A Few Good Men is one I can watch every day.
Well, it's very subjective.
Yes.
Right? I don't need to.
Oh.
My other one.
Okay.
Apollo 13.
Okay. So I have A Few Good Men under my love
Mm-hmm.
because it's everything. It's Tommy. It's Kevin Bacon. It's Aaron Sorkin. It's everything. I mean, and I just watched it yesterday. I mean, it's perfection.
I don't have to watch it whenever it's on, but if it's on, I don't have an issue if it stays on the TV.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Apollo 13 I have under only because I have a couple others that are just, above that one, especially where Kevin Bacon is concerned.
Okay.
So my other loves, Footloose, number 1, Ren McCormick. He will always be Ren McCormick in my heart and in my soul. That's my Ren McCormick, period.
Okay.
That was the first time I saw him and knew him and grew to love him.
Okay.
So Footloose will be number 1 no matter what.
Gotcha.
Then A Few Good Men. And then Under Love, and this was hard, but again, I was kind of thinking about the role that he plays in some of these movies versus, I love the movie, but he's has a smaller part in it,
Mm-hmm.
So River Wild, I put under my love. And that's another one. When it's on, I will stop and it will always be on. And I love that movie. So
yeah. I know.
So,
I get it.
So that one had to belong up here.
Yeah.
So, okay. Movies you like?
River Wild. It's there.
Okay.
I really like that one. This was a hard one for me, but I like the movie, and he doesn't have a huge role in it. It's Crazy Stupid Love.
I have mine right there too.
Yeah, David Lindhagen.
Lindhagen.
I mean,
David Lindhagen.
Who are you? I'm David Lindhagen. You're David Lindhagen.
Do you know what?
Is this a
Do you know
bad
how
time?
much you've caused my friend?
Yeah. Anyway.
Let's keep it in the family.
Yeah.
Um.
And I have a third one here.
Okay.
And this may be controversial.
Okay.
So don't scream like a panther.
Okay.
Tremors.
I've never seen Tremors.
I know.
So go
and
for it.
you never will.
Yeah. No, I will not.
No, you never will.
They're supposedly remaking it.
There was a remake listed in IMDb from 2019.
Oh, really?
I know nothing of it. I never
Huh.
saw it. I don't think I care to. So I really like the original Tremors. There were several follow-ups to it.
Yes, there were. But he wasn't in them, was he?
I think he was in the second one, but I think Fred Ward wasn't, or maybe it was the other way around. Whatever. The other guy.
Okay.
Anyway.
Okay. So here I have my Apollo 13. I have Crazy Stupid Love. And gosh, now I'm like questioning all of these, but it's so hard. I also put Frost Nixon on here.
Yeah.
He's Nixon's aide.
Mm-hmm.
And he does a great job in that, but it's also just one of my favorite movies / plays. Yeah. So
yeah.
If you haven't watched Frost Nixon, go watch Frost Nixon. Okay. Anything you hate?
Yep.
Okay.
Flatliners. Yep.
No.
I don't feel bad saying it.
You should.
I don't.
That's a classic.
Let me think about. No, I don't. Nope.
Did you ever watch it?
I did.
I don't think you know what you're talking about.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Any others?
No, that's it.
I have a few. Yeah, I know. And it's not that I hated these, just didn't like them. Stir of Echoes, didn't enjoy it.
Oh, good. That was coming up.
Hollow Man,
okay.
Didn't like that one.
Mm-hmm.
The one that came out last year that I wasted my time on, You Should Have Left.
You should have left.
Yeah, that wasn't any good. And then this TV show with Catherine Hahn called I Love Dick that came out last year.
Mm-hmm.
I tried it. I only made it halfway through the series. And I just couldn't keep watching it. And it wasn't because of him. I just didn't like the show in general.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't his fault. It wasn't an enjoyable show to me. So, yeah. All right. Movies you secretly love.
Frost Nixon. And I only have it secretly love because for me, he's such a small part of the movie. It's kind of what you were saying,
right?
Up front, in that there are some movies I love or secretly love that he's actually a small part,
right?
It's Frost Nixon,
okay,
and JFK. Had to get JFK in here because the same exact thing. Yeah, love the movie, right. And he's I don't love it because of him. He's a very small part.
Very small part, but I have JFK under my honorable mentions because that's one of my favorite movies.
Right.
Okay, so under here I have Trapped. This is a movie I watch at least once a month because it's always on, and when it's on, I have to watch it. It's him, Charlize Theron, and her old boyfriend, Stuart Townsend, and Courtney Love. And I love this movie. It's so good. Dakota Fanning, it's a little girl in it. Oh, love this movie. And he's a bad guy in it, and he's really good. So yeah, I will watch that movie all the time.
I think Dakota Fanning was a little girl in everything.
Pretty much. I also have under here She's Having a Baby. That's a classic to me. I love the movie. I love the way the whole thing is done. But at the end, when that song is playing and he's crying and all this, such a good ending. Such a good movie. He's awesome in it. I love it. And then I put on here The Following. This was a TV show that came out, I don't even know, sometime in the last 10 years. It only had 3 seasons, I think. It was he was going after, I don't even remember if he was police or not or whatever, but there's a serial killer that he was chasing down. It was such a good show. It was creepy but also really good, and he was so good in it. And I loved the show, and as I was going through this I was like, oh, I need to go watch that show again. It was so good. It deserves a second viewing. So I put that on there.
Okay.
Anything you're embarrassed you haven't seen?
There is.
Okay.
Footloose.
See, this is the stuff that when we're looking for stuff to watch on Friday night, I don't remember, and I can't think of Footloose. But see, that's also one of those things that's so old that I don't know if you could even appreciate it now.
Yeah, I think there does.
Is there a statute limitation?
I think there is a grandfather clause or something because, to go back and watch these, it just wouldn't hit like it did.
Right.
So
Right.
I
It's hard.
I think I'm okay with leaving this on a list of embarrassed I haven't seen, but I'll never take care of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. So on mine, I do have a couple. One is a movie he did called Taking Chance. I have purposely avoided this movie, even though I know he's amazing and the movie's amazing, but he played like the military officer that accompanies a body of a fallen soldier home to the family. So yeah, I've heard amazing things about it, but I'm not cut out for that. And then his latest show that's on right now, City on a Hill. I don't know what happened. I think I had started taping it and I just never got the chance to watch it. It got behind and so I just stopped. I think I'd like to try and get back to watching it. It takes place in Boston, like in the 90s or something. He's a detective or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I'm not watching it. So that's one of those.
Okay.
Any others
for
adding to your watch list?
Oh, yeah. I have one.
Okay.
I had two, but you took care of one of them. Mystic River.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Yeah. As I was going through, that's the one that kind of stuck out to me that
absolutely
I would like to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. I had Stir of Echoes on here, but I have a question mark because I was going to bring it up and like, should we? Should I?
No.
And the answer is clearly no.
No.
Yeah.
So I have honorable mentions. Obviously, the first time I think I knew that he was in anything was Friday the 13th. Now, before that, he was in Animal House. But again, I've never seen Animal House.
Did you see his first credit was 1951?
No, it was not.
On IMDb?
He was on live. That might have been when the show was started, but that's not when he was on the show. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
So if it was like Guiding Light, like I saw that, they'll put the start date of when Guiding Light started, not when he was actually on the show.
Yeah, that would be something.
Anyway.
Never mind.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
After Friday the 13th, Quicksilver. That was a good movie. The biking. That was good.
Okay.
Big Picture. I have Flatliners on here. He Said, She Said is a fun movie. I have JFK. Murder in the First. Here's the thing with Murder in the First. It's one of those that I liked the movie. It was a very good story. I have no desire to watch the movie again, but he was amazing in it. I wanted him to be nominated that year. He should have won that year, and none of that happened. And it makes me very angry. It doesn't make my list because it's one of those movies that's just like, again, it's so hard to watch. So I don't consider it one of my favorites, but I believe that's his best performance. Murder in the First. Amazing, amazing movie.
Okay.
Sleepers. Hello. I have Mystic River. Woodsman was an amazing, that was so hard. That was a tough movie. His episode of Will and Grace is one of my favorites.
Sure.
X-Men First Class. He's so good in X-Men. Patriots Day. And then this latest one was Story of a Girl. I think Kira directed that one. So anyway, Kevin Bacon, Ren McCormick. Love him so much.
Yeah.
And that's that. And his daughter now is like I said, she's in As We See It. She's been in quite a few things now. And she's as good as both of them. So yeah. Anyway.
Ooh.
I think that's everything. So
gosh, I hope so.
We will see. I aim to come back every 2 weeks, but if I haven't watched enough, I don't know. So
I understand.
I will aim to come back in a couple weeks, but we will see. So that's it, everyone. I hope you're all surviving out there. Stay warm if you're in the blizzard. Stay cool if you're here and our electricity's about to get shut off.
Yeah, that's right.
And until then, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Bye.